Hello, my name is Tethlyn Penry. I'm a solitary pagan witch, an author and the founder of the Wolf and Howl Press. And these little talks that I do here on YouTube are intended to give advice, answer queries. You're always welcome to ask me to talk about something that's specifically bothering you, and basically just to help you on your path. Because one of the things I know about being a solitary, I've been a solitary all my life, is that when the going gets tough, it's very hard for solitaries. We have nobody to ask. And often, you know, it's not the great big questions that bother us, it's the little things. So, today's little chat is going to be about creativity on a spiritual path. Now, it doesn't matter what your path is. You could be a witch, a Wiccan, a druid, heathen, what have you. That doesn't matter. This is a general thing about creativity, why it matters, why it's important, and how it helps us. And in a way, it follows on from the earlier talk about awareness for witches. Now, the thing about creativity is people believe creativity is no use unless we have a great talent. That's nonsense. The purpose of creativity is not to create great art, or great music, or great literature. The purpose of creativity on a spiritual path is to unlock something within us so that our subconscious, if you like, can flow out. Now, the whole business of the subconscious is something I'm just going to tackle briefly. Basically, we have our conscious mind, the mind we use when we go about our everyday tasks. And we also have our subconscious, which is a little bit lower. We often access it in dreams and things like that. I'd better pause a minute. This is Noah having a drink. In a minute, I'll probably be covered in water and slime and drool. I think he's drinking about a gallon. Oh, still going on. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to have to continue. He's obviously not going to stop until he's drained it. So you have the conscious, you have the subconscious, and underneath that you have the unconscious, which can only really be reached through the subconscious. And the trouble is that we can't access the unconscious, which is where a lot of wonderful things lay buried, lay sleeping, if you like. We can't do it except through the subconscious. And half the time, let's face it, the subconscious is mostly asleep. Noah, please, please settle down. Please, come on. Give over now. Thank you. So, oh, I knew this was coming, didn't you? Thank you, Noah. So, the purpose of creativity, of drawing for its own sake, writing for its own sake, singing, whistling even if that's all you can do, is to learn to unlock things inside us. There are lots of little doors, lots of little keys inside us, and we really do need to unlock them. And this is what creativity does. It enables us, because of its nature, because it's making us create, it's enabling us to reach other things. He's a very persistent boy, isn't he? To reach other things inside us, in these various layers of the mind. I think I better let him out, do you? Yes, hold on a minute then. Wait a sec. I'm a bit slow here. Sorry about this. That's Audrey going to tell him off. Hold on a minute. Look. Go out. Thank you. Right. Sorry about that. There's another thing about creativity too. There are many ugly things in the world around us. Horrible things, you know, things we would really rather not think about. There are wars, there are atrocities, there is famine, there is cruelty on a huge scale. People are sometimes deliberately cruel, sometimes they're unthinkingly cruel, but they're cruel all the same. Now I believe into this ugliness, if we are creative, we are bringing a little beauty. And this beauty, create art, this beauty is our fighting back. Yes, the world may be dark, horrible, what have you, but look what I've made. You see, what we forget about being creative, being active on our path, is that there's a huge difference between being creative and being passive. Now, years ago, before there were things like television, cinema, and even radio, when there were no CDs, no smartphones or Blueberries or Blackberries or whatever they're called, I don't know. Before these things, that if you wanted to pass your time, you had to read, you had to sew, knit, what have you. You had to find a way to pass the time, otherwise you go out of your mind with boredom. And let's face it, you know, a lot of household chores took far longer because there was no electricity, no labour-saving devices. You know, if you wanted to iron, I don't know whether you can see it here, but beside me I have what's called a sad iron. It's made of cast iron, it weighs a ton. That was how they did the ironing. They heated it up on the fire. And the little gold-coloured thing underneath, you might be able to see, that's the iron trivet to hold the iron up so it didn't burn the table. Now, the thing about entertainment actually comes from a Latin, I was going to say a Latin word, actually I think it's two, entertenere, which means to hold on to something. And the only way it's survived in our modern language is when we say, I'll entertain the thought. I entertain that thought. And what it means is we hold on to that thought. Oh, that's a good idea, I'll entertain that thought. Or we might say, so-and-so never even entertained that idea. He never held on to it. He let it go. And that's exactly what entertainment does. Entertainment gets us in its claws and it holds on to us. And instead of doing things and creating art and unlocking all these doors inside our head which will lead us to finding yet more things on our path, instead of that, we allow ourselves to be entertained. We sit back, we switch on the telly, we switch on whatever, we switch on Facebook, I don't know, but we switch on these things, and once they've got their claws into us, it's very difficult to get free of it again. It takes quite an effort to get up and say, no, I'm going to do such and such now. And before we know it, bedtime has come around. That noise, it sounds a bit like an angry crocodile. That's Little Aud. She's telling Noah what's what. She's not being entertained, I can tell you. Little Aud makes her own entertainment. It usually involves a lot of growling and snarling. Anyway, what I'm suggesting to you, before I finish up here, what I'm suggesting to you, please, have a go at creating things. The world is dark sometimes, the world is ugly, the world is certainly cruel. So fight back. Create art. Create music. Sing. Don't listen to music, but sometimes in the day, sing for yourself. Never mind if people don't like the sound of your voice. Doesn't matter, that's not the point. The point is you're doing something. You're fighting back. You're making your voice heard. Do you know what this is before I go? This is Little Aud has got hold of the end of my shawl. And every so often she's giving it a tug. Thank you. Aud! I really had better go. Thank you so much for listening before she pulls me on the floor. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.